what's the place of miracle in nature? Like, especially in the practice of these principles.
Yeah, miracles can happen.
Oh, you believe in miracles too?
Yes. When I say miracle, not religious miracle. Not wow, she. $5,000 in your account now. No, not that kind of miracle.
No, I wasn't referring to those either.
Not the miracle of you set up camera, like TD Jakes would say. Camera ready, yes, not like you set up the camera and you are ready, already knowing that the miracle is going to happen, and therefore the man that was not that kind of miracle. Those are just children playing. They are, when children are gathered and they are playing, let them play, don't disturb them. Those are those miracles. And then the people that are excited by those kind of miracles, they also are children. Let them play. At the appropriate time, their eyes will open and then they'll be lifted to higher. So not those kind of miracles. But when you talk about miracles, as in somebody who was ill, terminally ill, bedridden for 3 years, now becoming well without, just almost naturally. Yeah, that's a miracle. When you talk about a case of somebody who once had it all up there, and then came to this level where he has none. For 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, he remained there. And then suddenly he starts going up now, and then he even goes higher now than, yeah, that's a miracle. Because at this level, he was deserted. So many people would have thought that, he's done for. It will never, nothing will ever work for him again. Especially after the first 3 years. Oh, he used to be that. Don't worry about it. And then the people that used to call you, I have a personal experience that I cannot share, but you will just be left for dead here. So for you to be able to come up again, especially when you are not doing the things that you used to believe. If it was whatever it was, at the level of being here to the level of being here, most of the time you reassess your entire life. You reappraise. And then for me, at one point, I decided that even though to the world, this happens to be what is working, happens to be what is working. If it worked, then why did I come like this? For that reason, I do not believe in them, and I'm not going to do them anymore. Even if it means me remaining here forever, I don't care. I don't care. It's okay for me. At least I'm still alive. It's okay. But for me to go back to the things that I thought sustained me, but now I know they are not the things that, because they sustained me, they shouldn't have let me there. I'm not doing those things anymore. I cannot mention them again. They are just personal. I'll be hurting some people if I mention them. I refuse to do them. And I said, I'm going to stay here doing only what I believe, only what I know, only what by the knowledge that I have access to, I have come to know for certain. I'll do just those. Do just those. If you come with recommendations, go and do. I will not do them anymore. And out of the 7 years of my crisis, I took that decision after the first 2 years thereabout. So for 5 years, at least, persistently, and up till today, I don't do those things that you would normally say, it is because you do them, that's why you are excelling. And that's why some of the questions you ask, I throw them back to you as questions, because I don't just want to say directly. Again, it may work for some people, depending on what level you are. It worked for me at some point. All right? So it is not right for me to say they don't work. It's just that they may work for the class that you are. And when it's time to move you to the next class, to the next level, something bigger will take their place. So I just lived as I believed. And I'm happy that today I'm coming back to, not necessarily to tell you that your ways are not the right ways, but to tell you that if you happen to be in the class where what used to work for you no longer works for you, then come and try it. That's what I'm here for. All right.
Okay.
So So the question was, do I believe in miracles? Yes, to that extent that the tree that was once considered dead can come up and bear fruits again. Yes, I do believe in miracles. And what's the explanation? What's my explanation for miracle? It's still the same source. It's the same source. If you can connect to the source of life, then again, what's the source of life? There'll be what I call the source of is the same source. Source is source. Whether you are taking knowledge, you are taking life, you are taking ideas, you are taking it's all part of knowledge. So once you connect and you establish that connection, life will keep flowing from there to revitalize everything that was there in your body, in your community, in your family, in your community, and so on and so forth. So yes, especially for me, because I have refused to practice the general things, and I've practiced only what I am taught. And then they are working. So if you practice the general, and remember that, by the way, once you see, for me, once I see a road that everybody is trooping, the whole crowd is there. Everybody's going on this road because broad is the way that leads to zero, that leads to nothing. What is most likely that I'll do based on what I know? I'm going to take caution. I'm going to step back and reappraise this whole situation. So if you call me and say, everybody is going this way, come and go that way. Even if I would have loved to go that way, the fact that everybody is going that way, for me, it's not likely that I'll go.
Okay.
I'm always looking for the narrow way, the way to achieve things that people would even ordinarily write off and say, no, why are you doing it that way? This is the way to do it. Anyway, yes, I do believe in miracles, and miracles can be explained from the perspective of the same. If you connect, then things that were wrong. Connecting is just like connecting to light. It's just like darkness connecting to light. Even if it's just that tiny bandwidth, that tiny tube of fiber, maybe even sometimes, whatever light can come from there is enough to brighten this darkness and lead you to something new. Yeah.
All right. So still speaking on miracles, you have taught us that nothing actually comes for free. Right. So miracles, when they come, are they free, or is it an act of, do they come because as a result of something that we have done, or do we now bring faith, to play here? Oh, I believe this would happen, and then, so please enlighten us.
Wow, good question. Good question. Yes, nothing is free. I mean, once nothing is free, nothing is free. There is no case of it is free here, sometimes it's free or sometimes it's not free. So it's still the same answer, nothing is free. So it definitely would be something that you have done for which you are now reaping the reward. And because you are not aware of how these principles work, or that you have even done something or something, then you are just going to look and say, I didn't do anything, therefore this must be undeserved. And then you can call it miracle, call it favor, call it. It's always about something that nothing comes to you unless you deserve it. So it's about something that you have done. Now, the works may not always be in physical form. In fact, works that lead to miracle, they are usually not material works. They are spiritual works. What is spiritual works? What do you say? Righteousness. Spiritual work, righteousness. So what is spiritual work? What is righteousness? So miracle is born out of righteousness, out of spiritual works. And then the word that comes to mind when you say spiritual work is righteousness. What is righteousness? What do you think? Let me not put you under stress. So somebody was so exemplary in his performance with a particular virtue in the Bible. Specifically, it was the virtue of faith. This person was so good in exercising faith and say, that one, it was not counted for that person as this person is a righteous person. You remember that person?
Oh, yeah.
Even before the era of the great teacher that now explained these things. So there was this person called Abraham. So he had this virtue of exercising faith, that it was not counted for him as righteousness. So basically, drawing from there and from, generally, it could be said that the practice of virtue can be counted for you as righteousness. What's the practice of virtue? What's faith when there is no works? By faith. By your works, show me your faith. So it's basically the practice of principle. That's just where I'm going with all of this question. The practice of principle, that is the work, the spiritual work that you do to bring yourself to righteousness, and therefore that will not be accruing. For every practice, there's a reward. When you break a law, there's punishment. When you practice principle, there's a reward. So all of this reward, maybe some of them can accumulate to trigger something that may happen instantaneously. Even if it happens instantaneously by some external influence, what led you, what drove you, what pushed you to be in the presence of that external influence at that time? If not for lines falling to you in pleasant places. Nothing, not even the leaf of a tree dropping. Because that's the most common thing you can ever imagine, that the leaf of a tree can drop anytime. So what's the big deal? As simple as it is, it will not drop behind nature, behind universe. It is universe that is directing it to do so. Not that after it dropped, the universe was now contacted. The leaf has dropped. The universe allowed it. So if something as simple as the leaf of a tree dropping was not behind the universe, then what about you as a human being driven to be present in a particular place at a particular time because the president of the United States was going to be there at that hour, and therefore things will happen that make it appear like, of all places, of all people, how did it happen to you? There are manipulative forces that are arranging things, orderliness. Yes, so it may appear like out of nowhere, but it's actually ordered, and it was ordered by your practice of principle. Everything is around. That's the really part you can do. There's nothing else you can do. Nothing else you can do other than go there and provide food for. I'm not saying just go out on a daily basis to do that. I'm saying that that food that you provided for the hungry, that drink that you provided for the thirsty, that clothes that you put over the naked, on that day of your reward, and I'll say, this is it. The president of America is going to shake you, just a shake of hands. That might be all that you need for your miracle. Just the president shaking you and the whole world seeing it, that president is shaking you and then calling you, because that has opened doors. That can now bring you to, not necessarily giving you money. I don't know if auditing in a blind audition and the whole world sees you, even though you did not make it to the award session. But the fact that you were there, and then beautiful, that was well done. And then the whole world puts you on the limelight, and then favor will begin to come from there. So you don't really have to pass every time you come to such scenarios. All right? So to that extent, yes, I really do believe in miracles as reward for the work that you have done, the spiritual work that you have done, the principles that you have kept. And then I was saying, how do you keep principles? And how come this is reward? Because the person, let me just use person, but actually mean nature, who arranged that is rewarding you, because you actually, like it is said in the stories, that when they reward you are going to ask, but when did I see you hungry and I fed you? And then when did I see you naked and I clothed you that you are not rewarding me for? And then he's going to tell you, that other man that you saw on the streets, this, it wasn't me, but as long as you did it for the least of your brothers, it was me that you did it for. Now, this is the reward. These are the miracles. And sometimes they don't have to be really big, as in meeting a president or being, it could just be something tiny happening in the corner of your room. Tiny, tiny bits adding up here and there. So miracles exist in big formats, in tiny formats, even in ways that we don't even acknowledge as it's normal. So what's the big deal? Even at that level, I still do believe that little things happen as a reward for your work of love, your work of righteousness, your work of practice of principle.